What's up, dudes? So I'm here to tell you that I actually had to draw my firearm in a civilian context, not military, not law enforcement. I've never been a cop or anything like that. And I'm here to tell you my story. So this was 2019, 2020. My wife was coming to pick me up late at night. We were staying with my mother at the time, trying to get some funds to get this lovely house that you see that I'm in right now. And so during this time, my wife had pulled up, again, late at night, my wife had pulled up on the side of the road. I was going to get in the passenger seat and we were going to leave. As I was coming out, right, across the street at my neighbor's house, or at the neighbor's house, maybe a couple houses down, we noticed that there's a male arguing, swearing, being very loud. And so like any normal person would, you fixate on it, right? You fixate on the noise. You visually look there. And at this time, which is no different from any other time, I was concealed carrying. I carry a gun pretty much everywhere I go. And so as I was doing this, right, I'm carrying a loaded firearm. There's somebody being loud and aggressive and swearing. I don't know what the situation is. I don't know what family business they got into, but I'm not trying to get involved. I'm not trying to, play law enforcement here or try to be the hero of their situation. So I just, made eye contact, made sure that I wasn't in danger or my wife wasn't in danger. Again, low light. I'm not shining a flashlight over there because they are at a residence house. And so I get into the passenger seat and didn't have to, drop my gun or anything like that. Cool. We kind of do like this 5-point turn thing to go back the way she came to leave the neighborhood. And as you leave this neighborhood, the exit to get out, there's a two-way street, immediately going right, like an open median area, and then the path going left. And this exit area isn't wide enough to have two vehicles leaving at the same direction. So it's also a two-way enter and exit. As we start pulling off, I notice that this male individual gets in his car and decides to leave too. Again, no red flags for me, as far as like, oh, he's trying to do something towards us. He could be trying to leave the situation, right? I don't know the situation. I'm not trying to pay too much mind to it. And so as we start to leave, again, I notice he's kind of following our path and he's trying to exit the neighborhood just like we are. Cool. I notice he's trying to pull up, enter in closer and closer and closer. And my wife noticed this as well. So she tries to pull over to the left a little bit, to try to give him some space to leave on the right. It looked like he wanted to go on the right way and we were trying to go left. And so as we do this, right, I'm looking at the side mirror, just keeping eyes on him. He's an emotional guy. I want to make sure he's not too irritated to where he's driving irrational, or again, me and my wife is not in danger. And so I noticed that he rolls down his window, and he's about 45 degrees from our vehicle. I noticed from the side mirror and looking back a few times that he rolled down his window and he starts yelling at us. Don't really know what he's saying. Our windows are all up, so it's kind of hard to hear him, plus the traffic in front of us. But he's yelling, he's looking aggressive, not paying any mind, not trying to antagonize him anymore, because I don't know what he's going through. I don't know if he's armed or whatever. I'm just making sure that whatever he's doing with his hands doesn't pull out a weapon or gun or whatever. As we ignore him, he begins to get out of his vehicle. As he gets out of his vehicle, one hand is holding on to the window frame because he has his window rolled down. He's holding on, and then he's coming up closer near my door handle and having his left hand just up, waving whatever, swearing up a storm, kind of saying, "What are you going to do? Da-da-da-da-da-da." Just kind of going off. And again, I'm not verbalizing with him. I'm not flicking him off or anything like that. I'm just watching to make sure that he doesn't try to break my window or open my door. Again, I have my wife in the vehicle. I'm not trying to antagonize them. I'm not trying to fight somebody. I'm just watching to make sure that he doesn't do anything irrational. And so as he's going off, at one point in time, this is a very short exchange, at one point in time, it looks like he's going for my door handle. He starts looking down visually where the door handle would be and starts reaching for that. At that exact split second, I begin to draw my gun. And as I am in the process of drawing my gun, and I can draw fairly fast, as I draw my gun, my wife decides to take off and go into the path that we need to. And so as I drew my gun, what I noticed as she was driving off is his eyes got big. He kind of froze and kind of did like the moment, right? He, like most of us would if a gun was drawn on us, we kind of do the, oh my God kind of thing. And then we drove off and kept on our merry way. And I didn't intend to necessarily be like, shots fired and shoot at him, but I wanted him to know, hey, back up. That was going to be my moment to start doing that and to letting him know, like, the de-escalation process. Like, hey, dude, back up. I got a gun. I'll shoot you. I didn't want, because there was such a short gap between the door and me. I decided to draw my firearm because I felt like my life or my wife's life could have been in danger, and I probably wouldn't have been able to get my gun out any other situation because he already had closed distance on me. I guess the doors were locked, but even then, I didn't want to take that chance. So, I'm here to tell you, and the reason I'm telling you that story is because if you think you're exempt from a situation like that, you're not. This was less than a year after I left the military that this situation happened. So if you're somebody that when you look at a page like mine or a training value of mine and you're like, why do people do firearms training? I don't see the value in it. It would never happen to me. I'm here to tell you that it can happen to you, and it will if you prolong the time to get that adequate training, right? I didn't provoke the situation. Just because my eyes oriented in a way, all of a sudden the problem came to me, right? And I'm not going to hide when I'm trying to protect myself and my family, right? Because that kind of goes against the point of protecting in the first place. So think about it. If it happened to me, it can happen to you. I'm nothing special, right? I didn't antagonize it. I didn't invite it my way in any way, shape, or form, other than visually look and be aware with my eyes that something was going on in that direction. And luckily, nobody had to get hurt that day. So I really encourage you guys to go and take training. And I tell this story to all my students, and you can ask my wife. She was there, obviously. To go and really not be so closed-minded to training and to do it with an open mind. Come to one of our courses. Hear my stories, because this is one of two situations where I've had to draw my gun in a civilian context. Not a combat deployment or anything like that context. So I just want to come on here to tell you that you're not above anything and as far as not being a victim or being subject to possibly being a victim or put in the situations. Me, who's had training, that person didn't know. I've never met the dude in my life. Decided to come and try to pick a fight with me and my wife because he thought that we were defenseless and that we weren't going to fight until the moment I drew out my gun, all of a sudden, stuff got real. Right? And then you start to second guess as a bad guy. Like, hey, maybe I shouldn't have done that, right? Somebody who's being erratic, drunk, whatever, makes you second guess how much you're willing to risk and fight for over something small or stupid or whatever, right? Something to think about for you guys that are out there prolonging firearms training or don't think that you need it per se. Everybody needs it. It's just getting the mindset there. And I want to tell my story for that reason. So I encourage you guys to go get training, and you're not above it. Go get training. I almost fell right there.